here at 7 o'clock on the dot. We're open tonight with a public hearing. Tonight is our second session with Community Scale, during which we will consider amendments to modify Winchester zoning bylaw, in particular Section 9.4 special permit and Section 9.5 site plan review. This may also lead to revisions to related sections of the zoning bylaw. Our purpose tonight is to review and refine, or our purpose overall is to review and refine procedure standards and criteria associated with special permits and site plan review to support clear and predictable development processes. Our third and last public hearing with these two gentlemen will be on June 9th, where they will present their final recommendations. Tonight is an opportunity for us to share our thoughts, concerns, and ideas with them. Tonight I would also especially like to hear from our esteemed building commissioner, Tom Kennedy, and his able assistant, Carla McGrath, and as well as ZBA members who are present. I think we had David Feigenbaum. Oh, there he is. He's hiding. Just how many members of the zoning bylaws? Oh, two of you, three of you. Great. Four. Great. Oh, everybody. Quorum. I'm sorry, I don't know all of you, but I'm glad to have you here. So we'd like your input as well. I think. Yeah,
everyone's used to us packing the house.
Yeah, SRO.
Interest specific. It's like, what?
So, anyhow, what we'd like to hear from the members of our audience is get your opinions as to what you think needs to be fixed, how the process is working, what could we be doing better. At our previous hearing on April 7th, among other topics, we discussed what should trigger site plan reviews and the threshold for special permits. We covered a number of topics. One thing that was said by Mr. Silverstein was that it would probably be best, or I'm sorry, it was Mr. Nelson who said it, that it would be best to move the, pardon me?
Should we formally open the public hearing?
Beg your pardon?
Do you need a motion to open the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I should have.
We did the meeting.
Yeah, we need a motion to go into public hearing, don't we?
I didn't know if you were preamble or content.
So no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My bad. So I would entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry about that little foul up. Any rate, where was I? Oh, I think that what we need to do tonight is I'd like to start tonight's discussion by hearing from Mr. Nelson and Mr. Silverstein as to their findings. They've given out an interesting grid here that just a quick study is very intriguing. So I would turn the floor over to you and let us know where you stand. And
great. Okay. Hello, Planning Board. Well, most of the ZBA and staff. Thanks for having us. This is an exciting meeting for us. We prepared a memo and circulated it with town staff last week who had some questions and feedback, and we weren't able to resolve all of that in order to distribute materials to you ahead of time. So we're kind of coming in a little bit fresh right now. What we heard from you in the last meeting was that there was a desire to still have site plan review for single-family homes that exceeded certain dimensions, that had certain impacts on the landscape. The staff wasn't quite ready for the complete set of recommendations that we had, and also had some feedback that if things couldn't be, or if possible, to avoid site plan review, and instead have more of those codes be in zoning. And then we also looked at some direction around different levels of site plan review. Ranging from administrative up to what we call major, which is basically what we have now. The other thing that we spent quite a bit of time looking at after our meeting last time was the triggers for site plan review. And then trying to break them down from the 7 that you have now into this grid as we described, that can have different variations but also be explicit about which zones triggers apply in. And then also trying to replace that really tricky one, number 7, about the grade of 500 square feet and more than 6%. So with that all being said, well, I guess one other thing on that is Jonathan and I did make the determination that you can't regulate on square footage of a single-family home. So numbers 5 and 6 that talk about a floor area of a certain number of square footage. That's not something, according to Mass General law, that you can regulate. And so working with staff, we thought about instead of using FAR to evaluate those, floor area ratio being kind of a side step away from just straight regulation on square footage of a single family structure. So with that all being said, what we attempted to do was starting with that grade change trigger, break that into a number of constituent parts that we think achieve the goals that we heard expressed by the planning board last month when we met. So we heard about the landscape wanting to remain natural, about retaining walls, about impervious area. And so rather than trying to have it one catch-all definition, instead of 3 criteria that would address each of those as a trigger for site plan review. So those are the top 3 that we talked about. And then the rest are modifications of the existing triggers to have these different thresholds. So if we can hand over to Jonathan to talk about the different levels of process.
Yeah. So, and I want to be clear, I think Mel's has done a great job of sort of populating some of these fields with numbers that are really placeholders. Mm-hmm. I don't want the board to think that we ascribe any particular importance to what those numbers are. It was really just sort of taking a crack at sort of approximating based on the way the bylaw currently reads and the feedback we got. But obviously those are policy decisions for the town boards and officials to make. The 3 sort of levels of review, or I guess really 4 levels of review that are summarized in this grid, range from administrative staff review for projects that maybe trigger, some thresholds, but aren't likely to have a great impact, but you want someone to put eyes on them just to make sure there's nothing out of the ordinary that raises any red flags. So that would be just at the staff level, intended to be sort of a streamlined process, a few weeks. Again, taking a quick look at it to make sure there's nothing that sort of raises it to one of the subsequent levels of review. So that would be purely at the staff level, no public meetings. The next level would be non-hearing site plan review before the ZBA. So that would be sort of the next lowest tier, but again, intended to be sort of a streamlined process, just making sure there are no objective standards that a project is violating. I would compare it from a process standpoint to A&R plans. Again, as a placeholder, we put that same 21-day review period in, the idea being the board gets a chance to put eyes on the project, make sure there's no red flags. And if there aren't, if the project appears to comply with all the objective criteria that we would flesh out in further discussion, and which can be further fleshed out through regulations, then the project would be approved sort of ministerially. The next level up would be full major site plan review. If the class I just talked about maybe would be minor site plan review. And this, I think, would look a lot more like what you currently have. Full public hearing, notice and advertisement in accordance with the safety procedures that would apply under Chapter 48. We can talk about what the review period is. I know we talked about maybe the special permit site plan, special permit process can really drag out a long time. We could make it look more like variances and appeals, where there's sort of a set timeline for review from time of application. But the idea is these are larger projects that are triggering higher thresholds in merit. Full detailed review at a public hearing where abutters and other parties in interest are going to have notice and an opportunity to be heard. And then the fourth category, and I think this is one of the things we probably need a little more feedback, because I think there's maybe some question in terms of the direction we should be following from the boards, is special permit, which from a process standpoint, again, full public hearing, notice and advertisement to parties in interest. It's, as I said, it's a longer potential timeline where there's 65 days to open the public hearing. It can stay open as long as the board deems necessary, and then 90 days to render a decision. So there was some thought, I think, I was away, but I know Nels and Taylor had some back and forth about, well, maybe what the board really wants to see is that there's a continuation of special permit review. That hadn't been my takeaway last time we met, at least not for uses that are otherwise by right, if they're just triggering some sort of objective thresholds in terms of number of parking spaces, amount of earth being removed, things like that. My sense had been that that was going to be site plan review. So if the board does want any, again, we've sort of put in placeholder thresholds. Any of these could be moved over for a full special permit requirement, with the caveat that you just need to remember that under the Zoning Act, there needs to be at least some class of uses that are allowed by right in every district. And you can't really get around that by saying, sure, single-family homes are allowed by right in this district, but any single-family home over 500 square feet has to get a special permit, because then it's not really allowed by right. It's a special permit. So, and I'm not suggesting that, but just to sort of take it to the extreme. So if there was a desire to impose special permit requirements on a broader class of uses, I would just caution that we need to take a look and make sure that we are complying with the requirements of the statute. There be some uses in every district that are allowed by right. So I think that's sort of the high-level summary. I know you haven't had a ton of time to go through what's in front of you.
Who has reviewed this? You said staff has reviewed the. Tom, have you seen this? Who you said this has been?
Our interactions have been
Through Taylor?
Yeah, just the Taylor. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it.
Okay.
So we don't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have any equivalent of this minor SPR right now. Everything goes, if it goes to the ZBA, it goes. It's all, exactly. So with the minor SPR, you're suggesting that it would only go for a review and it wouldn't even be a public hearing with the ZBA only. This is after administrative review.
Right. And again, we kept it with ZBA because that's
that makes sense.
where it lies now. But
And then ZBA would have the ability to say, this is really kind of a major review. We'd like some input from the other boards and kick it up to a hearing potentially.
Yeah, so we haven't really fleshed all of that out, but I think we had talked about, and that would be the case for staff level review as well. Staff could look at it and say, look, we think this is questionable, it's on sort of the threshold, we'd be more comfortable if ZBA had a look at this. We'd need to sort of lay out how that decision is made, when it's made, whether it's reviewable, but
How does the ZBA kind of review something if it's not in public? I mean,
it would be in public at an open meeting. It just wouldn't be at a public hearing. So same as this board, when you get an A&R plan, you don't notice and advertise a public hearing. There would be time for that because, generally speaking, you get an A&R plan, you need, for a public hearing, it has to be advertised 14 days ahead of time. You only have 21 days from submission, and with publication deadlines and all that, you'd be in pretty tight straits. You don't need a public hearing, but it comes before the board at a open meeting. It's on the agenda. It's listed on the agenda. The difference is that it's an agenda item at an open meeting, but it's not a public hearing that requires advertisement in the newspaper, notice to abutters and parties and interests. Many boards allow the public to speak on A&R plans, but it's not a requirement. Many boards don't. Many boards just sort of treat it very ministerially. They look at it, anyone have any questions, and if not, they endorse it. But the key is that all of the procedural requirements of the statute that apply to public hearings for special permits, variances, and appeals don't apply to A&R plans, and they wouldn't apply to administrative site plan review. So, but it would all happen in public, in the open, at a duly noticed public open meeting of the board.
so would that be a retaining wall greater than 20 inches?
Yes.
Is the meaning?
Under, the placeholder values, yeah. A retaining wall of less than 20 inches would not require any review. A retaining wall of 20 inches would require a staff level review. If anything jumped out at them, they could kick it up to the ZBA.
How would you'd have to talk about how you measure that?
Absolutely. Generally speaking, as to retaining walls, there's usually a different measurement because you have the surcharge on one side, you only have clear measurement on the other, so it's usually from finished grade to the top of the wall at the highest point. It can be measured any way you want us to define it. A lot of towns have a lot of very complicated measurement criteria for building height. Average grades, where on the peak of the roof, all that. It's a lot simpler when it comes to a retaining wall.
I mean, it strikes me that the length of the retain, I don't want to start micromanaging categories before we hear from everybody that came today, but it strikes me that the length would probably matter as well. I mean, a short, like a 3-foot retaining wall would not require the
And
same.
you could do it based on the volume of a plane, the area of a plane, so if you didn't want to necessarily base it on height or length, but just if it's more than 400 square feet retaining wall, on the measured at the face of it. It's really, again, these are all just sort of placeholders to get you all thinking about.
I know we have years of thoughts on this in the
Yeah.
audience. If we can,
Tom, can you come up to the table? Do you mind?
Careful what chair you pick.
I think that's the bad one.
So if the building code requires a building permit for a retaining wall for less than 4 feet, if more than 4 feet, and that's measured from a foot. So it could be a 3-foot wall with a 1-foot footing. What grounds do we have to control what somebody does without a permit?
Yeah, so building code is its own thing, town's not allowed to have its own building code. A building code isn't zoning regulations.
Exactly.
So, you know, analogy I would give is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a storage shed of 200 square feet or less does not require a building permit. But plenty of cities and towns require zoning approval for storage sheds regardless of size or at some smaller threshold. Building code regulates gross floor area based on, you know, measuring from the exterior face of the outside wall. A lot of, I could probably show you 400 definitions of gross floor area in 350 whatever cities and towns. Literally, I've seen 3 or 4 different definitions of gross floor area in one zoning ordinance. So, not saying that's the best practice, but, you know, so to your point, absolutely right, and there's nothing wrong with basically using the same sort of measurements and metrics that are in the building code. A lot of zoning ordinances and bylaws do that for simplicity purposes and consistency, but it's not a requirement. So, yeah, you could measure from the footing. I guess the question is, building code is concerned with safety and stability of that wall, whereas I think from the zoning standpoint, you're probably less worried about what's under the ground than what's showing above the ground, but I could be wrong. So, you know, it's a good point.
But, you know, that's always the challenge, because zoning and building code always conflict. And if somebody decides to build a wall that is 3 feet without a permit, how do we regulate it?
So, big tension in zoning is always enforcement. What do you know about, right? I mean, you don't know if someone's, you know, using their garage to fix cars until someone calls and complains, or you happen to see it. It's the same with someone building a shed too close to the property line, or building a wall that's higher than one of these thresholds. And honestly, part of it is, you know, educating the public, because if I decide to put up I want to have a raised garden bed, and I decide to get a bunch of those interlocking blocks, and I build a 25-inch wall, I probably have no idea that I'm supposed to come and see you first. So I'm not saying that won't happen, I'm certain it will. That being said, I think the question is, what are the thresholds that in an ideal world you want people to come in? I think you have to draft the zoning to what you would like to see happen, what you think makes sense, versus will it always happen? And then try to get the word out.
I mean, I think we all have a big interest in making sure the process flows smoothly beyond Tom. Like, we're not looking to drop a bunch of work on his desk that just makes a nightmare for him.
I think, you know, when the town, you know, a lot of what the town residents are concerned with is what it looks like, what the wall looks like. And they have a lot more concern about walls in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Maybe at the lot line, at the sidewalk. What goes on in the back of the house, they have a lot less concern with, if they want to.
Yeah, and you know, going
and so you could maybe address that, you know, if you want to.
You can say it only applies to walls that are within the front setback area.
Perhaps, yeah.
But I know I heard concerns about people that have frontage on a water body, or, you know, if it's facing a neighbor or conservation area. The other thing is, what we were trying to we're trying to come up with these easier measures to substitute for what I understand has been a major headache, which is how do you calculate more than 6 inches of grade change over a,
Tom's head's going to explode. He's so happy to be my
these are
friends.
sort of,
I have no answer to that.
so,
But many ideas.
so that wasn't limited to the front setback area, so we didn't limit any of these other metrics to any particular area, but that's certainly, you know, a legitimate approach that if you all decided, you know what, we really do only care if it's within maybe not just front setback, one of the setbacks, front, rear, or side, or within X feet of a water body, or X feet of, you know, the travel paved portion of a public way, or whatever it is, all very legitimate. It's, you know, unfortunately, that's why you guys get paid the big bucks, you know, to make those decisions.
When does
But,
that start happening?
you know, we can take that feedback and try to make it work.
I mean, I think that is a large part of the town. They're thinking about the front, you know, what goes on there, and they don't want to see, you know, a 4-foot wall would, they might want to think a lot more about than the back somewhere, not in the setback especially, you know.
Yeah.
As long as it's safe, whatever, you go for it.
But
What do you,
also, I think a tiered wall does a lot for runoff. And I'm not
Yeah,
sure what
yeah.
the intent of the bylaw was, the 6%, 500 square feet, 6%. I'm not sure.
I wasn't here.
But to prevent runoff, retaining walls often stop or help runoff.
you level the lot,
You level the lot.
Yeah.
and it
you
stops
stop
shedding,
runoff. You don't shed as much.
It's like a
water.
dam.
especially since if it's new construction, it's a job where you have a system to collect the
Exactly.
water.
I
And
mean,
it's going to be easier to collect it if it's sort of level.
If the intent is not to have retaining walls in the front, I get that, but in the back, you have something that's, you can carry it. I think that will help.
But I do think that, I'm sure the runoff is a concern. We've got water all over the place here. But I think the spirit of it is that it's such a contoured town that if we allow everyone to sort of flatten and build walls, we will just have a tier. Our town will become a set of boxes very quickly. And so I think that's probably how we got there. I mean, for better or worse, you know, I just think that's probably how we got there.
It's a clumsy sort of.
Yeah, but there's not like, what's another way to be like, please don't take this little, you know, like, please, like set it into the, like, we'll lose the, you know, think of the whole west side, which is kind of like rolling. You know, if we don't have a limit on grade or moving fill or building retaining walls immediately, you know, Jack's house will become a 7,000 square foot. Which like is like that could be that's one direction. I'm just saying it's not. It was not the spirit of the bylaw when
You
it was
could
written. I don't think.
lift your house up to the like Bigelow up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Well,
Do we keep data on what people submit permits for? So X% of people that need a special permit or to go through site plan review for the 6%,
We do.
like how much they're moving? Is it, because the trigger is 6%, 500 feet. Are most people within 10%? Are most people asking for 25? Like, do we have any sense of the number of applications that are in different data points to say people are looking to really just
Well, I think the
rearrange a
problem-
teeny bit, or are they?
I think the problem is that the bylaw says that you have to go for site plan review if it's 6% over 500 square feet.
Right.
Well, what if you do 5% over 3,000 square feet? Do you end up the site plan review? I don't think so.
And are you measuring an average, or are you measuring?
Start. What's the?
So,
Yeah.
I've asked the people, I went back and asked the people who put this in place, and I'm not sure that they know what they were trying to accomplish, besides a knee-jerk reaction to maybe one house that
Yes.
changed the landscape pretty drastically.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we have a bylaw that we don't understand.
Isn't like and comma is the last part? Like, this is good.
There's a few that have really gone overboard and it's one straight wall way up, and that's not what I think we all want.
Right.
However,
Yeah, but
if that was tiered, maybe that would look be much more appealing. So I have talked to land surveyors in town who have worked in here for 40 years that don't understand that bylaw.
yeah.
We know when it's really, like that property that was proposed on Everett a bunch of years ago where they wanted to put like a 20-foot retaining wall to put in a pool and a tennis court. I mean, it would have been lovely for the family, but it would look like
Terrible
we
for the lake.
imprisoned the lake.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have, on South Border Road, you have that
Yeah.
large retaining wall, the Impressions Concrete.
Yeah.
They leveled the backyard.
I didn't permit that. I don't-
No, it's a long time ago.
Before me.
Yeah, you had nothing
Nothing to do with it.
nothing to do with it. This
When-
goes back a bunch of years.
Yeah. When you look at this list, what saves you the most work and what do you think is in the totally wrong place?
I think well, let me see.
I got a bunch of copies.
So the 6%, the 6%, 500 square feet, absolutely.
And
We spend
that would be gone.
So they broke it into these three.
The top three are replacing that. And these were stabs in the dark. The top one, cutting, fill, and regrading of earth. The idea here at 50 cubic yards is that you would likely not trigger that if you were just digging out a conventional basement. And then from there, we just kind of increase in terms of the impact on the landscape. So just changing the natural topography would require more of a review. The kind of way of getting around having a site plan review for that would be to update the earth removal special permit thresholds. Maybe not call it earth removal, but earth change or something like some other thresholds there, and then it could be a special permit instead of a site plan review.
Land disturbance.
Yeah, land disturbance. So for each of these, at the staff's request, we also thought of ways of getting it out of site plan review if that was the desire. And then the second one, the retaining walls. The first one, the 20 inches, that's like a sit wall. So people typically don't have problems with sit walls. But I do like that point about the length of it also. And then just kind of stepping up from there. And then instead of having site plan review, there could be some other criteria in technical review that could just be in zoning and not discretionary. So that's always the option, is you could not have a discretionary review, a more technical approach to it.
Just have performance standards.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a zoning provision will say you can't have, a flat wall that's unbroken by,
Yeah,
at least
60 feet.
concrete, whatever.
Yeah.
You could do that with the retaining walls. You could say you can't have
More than-
any retaining wall over, pick a height. If it's going to be taller than that, it needs to be terraced. And the terrace, each terrace needs to be at least 5 feet deep, or whatever you think is from a safety and aesthetic standpoint. So you could just have clear performance standards that if someone wants to come forward and say, hey, here's why I can't meet these performance standards, you could then say that goes to site plan review, and ZBA has the ability to waive that requirement through site plan review instead of making it a variance, which is next to impossible to, strictly speaking, satisfy those standards. So, this is by no means the entire range of the types of processes that you could have.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of, you're throwing out a lot of ideas, and it sounds to me like we're larding the bylaw with more, details. And I understand why we need to do that.
Yeah, the question really comes down, so we're trying to sort of give you a menu
Yeah.
that you can order from, right? I don't think you need to order 10 entrees,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's not for us to say what you should be regulating, but more sort of, we tried to get a sense of what could the intended goals of the regrading 6% over 500 square feet be? What sorts of issues could that be intended to get at? And what are alternative ways that are easier to administer that you could approximate
Yeah.
the same? So, you know, you could have a bylaw that has 20 different thresholds, or a bylaw that has 1 or 2. Again, you're right, and I recognize we're throwing a lot of information at you.
No, it's-
And, you know, we really just need at this point to get a little feedback about, okay, what do we write up? What are the directions that you think it makes sense for us to pursue, so we're not going down rabbit holes and spending a lot of time drafting something that you look at it and say, what are you talking about retaining walls? We don't care about retaining walls.
David, did you have something to say?
Yeah, just from the point of view of this, me as a member of the zoning board, being specific and having numbers in the bylaw is endlessly valuable.
Okay.
It saves hours of debate, and you get a better result because people, the community understands by looking at the number what they're going to deal with.
Yeah.
It's harder, I think, to achieve the town meeting, who knows how they're going to feel about it. I would urge as much specification as possible in a situation like that.
I mean, I find if you go to town meeting and explain, look, we have this really ambiguous standard that's catching a lot of people that maybe don't need to be caught, and what we're really trying to do is just make things really clear for people as to what's required.
Yep.
We're not intending to intensify regulation. If anything, you're doing the opposite. That tends to generally be more successful at town meeting, and I think that's fair. I mean, I have not gotten the sense from planning board at least so far that, boy, we think we're not catching enough projects in site plan review.
No, and when we presented to the, we presented our semi-annual report to the town meeting last Monday, that's exactly what we said. We're trying to make this more manageable by the people who have to deal with these bylaws.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you just said. That's right to the point.
Well, the question is more complicated to read, but more manageable to do.
Yes, exactly.
Because this is more tiers, more things to understand. But once you understand it, you have different pathways that might speed you up. You might not have to go to the ZBA. You might not have to come to us or whatnot.
And
So I think to answer your question, you know, there's two things that trigger site plan review. It's square footage and the change of grade. Square footage, I think we really should take a look at that. I mean, GFA right now is probably not the way to look at it. I'm not sure what your opinion is, but FAR is. I mean, if you have a 10,000 square foot lot that happens to be in the RG district, 12,000 square foot lot in the RG district, you're only allowed 3,600 square feet. I'm not sure that makes sense anymore.
You have a giant
I think
lot.
your
and you
opener
have-
You have a
was
giant lot and you can put 3,600 square feet. It just doesn't make sense.
Wasn't your opener that we can't use square feet?
Yeah, so for single-family homes, only for single-family homes, the zoning act specifically prohibits zoning ordinances and bylaws from regulating floor area or interior lighting. So you just can't do that for single-family homes in a vacuum. How do towns get around that? Floor area ratio is, you know, the major one. There are other metrics that towns use, but floor area ratio is the easiest. Again, when you're talking about simplicity, the problem is a lot of cities and towns are struggling with the mansionization of the housing stock. And if someone has an acre lot and they could build a 20,000 square foot house, a lot of local officials understandably don't like that as a possible outcome. But you can't get at it through an outright limit on the square footage of a house, because there's only access to it.
Yeah.
I just have a question. So is your view of our current bylaw, the bylaw is trying to regulate the size of homes, or the bylaw says if you're proposing a project for the home is over a certain threshold, then you have to have a site plan review, which can't specifically be denied. It just comes before what the body is and might have conditions to approval. But the way I read the existing bylaw, I would think the existing bylaw is not telling you can't have a home over X size. And just as a follow-up, I think the FAR sort of piece makes a lot of sense. The only thing that maybe isn't considered there is I think you might create a whole bunch of non-conforming communities that don't exist here, where you have a lot of small lots. So you might have a house that is not currently, non-conforming.
Right.
You create a non-conformity, and I think you might have.
And then you beg the question of at what point are you intensifying that so that you're triggering a special permit, a section 6 special permit. And again, a lot of communities deal with that by saying you can increase the size of your house by up to 25% over any 5-year period, and that won't trigger, as long as you're not triggering or intensifying other setback violations, whatever it is, then you're exempt from review. So to your point, no zoning ordinance or bylaw shall regulate or restrict the interior area of a single-family residential building. So I view site plan review as regulation. I'm not going to, in this public meeting, tell you that I think the existing bylaw is invalid. I think there is some exposure, and I would recommend as part of this that we substitute something that is at least arguably in conflict with the statute with other metrics that I think can as or more effectively accomplish the same goals.
Can you use setbacks in % open area, or is that not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
doesn't limit the height.
Open space requirements, lot coverage requirements, either building or impervious. There's all sorts of ways to get at it.
It doesn't check the
That-
height, though.
Are sort of flat on saying you can only have a house that's this big.
So how many communities do you represent that have site plan review for single-family homes?
I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
So I think that's a problem.
Wow.
I think that we are very unique, and we should consider putting the dimensional regulations in the regulations. And get rid, and stop site plan review for single.
And we had that conversation last time around, and I don't want to speak for members of the board. I think there was a concern that would be sort of a big change in one bite for people to swallow, but and that there are these concerns about sort of how a lot might be changed for a single family building that could be done in a way that the board wants to guard against. So, again, this is policy. There's certainly other towns that have reviews for certain types of single families, like, Wellesley has large house review, and, there are a lot of other communities that try to get at it one way or another, but I'd say overall, just site plan review as sort of the default for single family is very unusual.
So, site plan review is usually small and large is for very large projects and smaller projects.
Yeah.
What do you mean by smaller?
Commercial projects.
Oh,
We're talking about
yeah.
very large
I was gonna say,
projects.
we put an addition on our house just went to Al, got a building permit. Like, it was a long time ago, but like there was no site plan review or special permit review because the size and everything.
So again, I believe, my personal belief is that we should do a site plan review for single-family homes. And the second is, one of the other things that we struggle with is square footage. If you let somebody build a square box, why would we regulate what they're going to do inside of it? Stop them from building. I think it's all about massing.
Yeah,
Usually it's a massing, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want this big building.
right.
If you don't allow that big building and it's smaller, then why wouldn't you just let them do what they want inside that? I think that kind of speaks to, you can't.
Yeah, I don't know if any of these triggers would really regulate what happens inside an existing building unless you're changing the use.
But we do now, is my point. So we do now, and I think that you're saying that we cannot
I'm
regulate.
not aware of that.
I mean, you're saying that
We should not
the
regulate.
law says we can't, right?
In what way
Yeah,
do
what
we
trigger do you
regulate
mean?
So
the
I mean,
interior?
if
flooding
somebody
is-
builds a home that had an RG district, 3,600 square feet, they didn't finish their attic. Now they want to finish their attic, and it's going to bring their square footage over the 3,600.
Right. And that's happened a few times, yeah.
It's,
It's
they
common.
Oh, I
have to
see.
go.
But that could still happen
Yeah.
with
But we
an
still have to-
FAR requirement.
Right, yeah.
I mean, but
Depending how
If
you...
you calculate the FAR from the outside, it wouldn't.
That's right. Again, it depends on how you define floor area. And so this is a conversation we have in a lot of communities. When you have an FAR requirement, what is it that you're trying to regulate? Are you trying to regulate intensity of use, in which case whether your third story or 2.5 story is finished or not makes a difference because more finished space often means more intense use? Or are you intending to regulate the bulk massing, the sort of exterior impacts, aesthetic impacts of the house? And the answer to that question, there's no right or wrong answer, but the answer is going to inform how you define gross floor area for purposes of FAR calculation.
What you can see on the outside is a lot easier to regulate.
Yeah,
Sure.
100%.
Easier from an enforcement standpoint, but it's no more difficult to
No, I mean for the.
define. Yeah, absolutely.
For telling Tom, no, you gotta keep going in all these attics all up and down,
Right.
under and down. He doesn't want to do it, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Isn't that also what I care about? I don't care what you do inside your house. I care about what it does for the neighborhood, what it looks like to the neighbors next door. If your attic is unfinished, no difference to me than if it's finished.
I mean,
But it does-
Unless you're
but it does
concerned.
right now.
I know, that's what I'm saying. No, I was turning to agree with you because at first I was like, no, we don't regulate inside. And I was like, well, yeah, actually we do. You're
We
right.
do. Yeah.
and we've
Unless
had
you're concerned that
What's that?
a bunch of students are going to rent the house,
Right.
and you're going to have more cars, more people, more traffic coming in and out of that neighborhood. And again, I'm not advocating. I'm just saying, these are other ways of looking at it.
Yeah, no.
But if your concern is more about the appearance of a structure and less about the use of a structure, then you're right. You wouldn't care, how much of the basement or the attic is finished and used.
But we should make sure, I feel like I'm remembering Tom wishing we could correct our definition of basement and attic, and I think it got a little more complicated when we
Basement
passed
is
the ADU. Basement,
So it's basement and cellar, so
basement and cellar, okay.
we
Let's make
We
sure.
spent many,
spend,
many
and
years.
before it gets to you, we spend hours talking about that.
Opening the bylaw to
So,
revisions.
but I think everybody, I think in fairness to our definitions, which I think need some help, I think everybody struggles with this. What is that first level, I think, is the issue, rather than basement and a cellar.
We had
Yeah.
that
Because if
problem.
you have a basement, we don't have basements in Winchester for all practical purposes. Because if you have a basement, that's your first level. So it may be called a basement, but it's level number one.
Now I'm dizzy.
We don't have a subway.
It's a mix. So, I mean, I think a lot of communities will take a look at natural average grade, finished first floor height. If it's more than 6 foot, then that is your, if it's more than 6 foot, then that level is your first floor. So there are different ways to do it.
Even if it's
Let's get
unfinished?
it right if we're going to go with bylaw
If you're
changes.
finished first floor.
Finished for, okay.
And that's really what, I mean, I wondered why they came up with that, but that's actually the building code definition. So if your finished first floor is more than 6 feet above your natural average grade, that is a level, that is a story.
Huh.
That could be pretty
But
far.
right now, we spend a lot of time on that.
If there's a way to clean that up.
It's 49%, it's 51%, you know, all of a sudden you have a different scenario.
Sometimes just don't regulate the number of floors, they just regulate height.
The heights, yeah.
Because again,
That's not easy either. Height from where? It gets hard too.
Natural average.
Yeah, but it still gets
I
hard.
know, which I think we should take a look at. I think 40 feet is too high for Winchester, but
and
We had that
what's
conversation.
natural
yeah.
is hard to measure if someone goes around and like puts a bunch of, you know, like.
you're absolutely right.
So again, you know, you can, there are lots of ways. I'm not saying it's ever, you know, every town has had its struggles, however it defines building height, with, you know, sort of the outlier applications of properties. But there are a lot of ways to measure building height. And, you know, I think if that's what the board wanted to do rather than regulating stories, which again goes to, if you're regulating stories, you're more trying to get to intensity of use and less about massing, because if you have 4 stories with 7-foot ceilings as opposed to 3 stories with 12-foot ceilings,
Sounds awfully big.
you know, it's, you know, you're going to have a much bigger structure
Yeah, the
with
maximum
3 levels. So again, it goes to what you're really trying to accomplish with these things. I know we've gotten a little off track, but we can certainly help with definitions when the time comes.
I mean,
That's for the
it's
ZBA.
Pardon me?
all off track that this is the area where we really struggle.
Sure, yeah.
This
no, I mean,
is the corner of the code
valuable.
that's,
Yeah.
Further thoughts from ZBA? You guys have other issues, questions, concerns?
Come on over this way if you want to, or it's 4 from there.
Or shout?
I have one.
Yeah, shoot.
A remedial question at this point, but, so is the idea for whatever site plan review becomes, is your recommendation going to be that the planning board sort of oversee and approve site plan review?
Oh, no, we've left it, we haven't reinvented the wheel. It's with ZBA now, so we've left all site plan review with ZBA.
Is that common in your experience and practice?
It's not unheard of. I'd say it's significantly more common for planning board to be the site plan review authority than ZBA.
Probably in the context of it's not single-family related, it's commercial related and bigger
Yeah.
projects, right?
Sure, yeah, I think that's a fair point.
So, I mean, is
But there
there,
are lots of towns where the special permit granting authority is the select board. So, you know,
I'm sure they'd love that
so is there any
assignment.
thought, or does anyone have any thought about that, about the shift there, or is that something that's not even sort of been on the table?
Well, the Center Business District, MBTA Overlay District, and the Main Street Mixed Use District, the planning board is the special permit granting authority. The ZBA is for the rest of the town. That's accurate, David, right? Yeah. So we
And site plan review, that's a special permit, also site plan review.
I'm sorry, and site plan review, that's right. So we are an advisory board to the ZBA on all those other site, as well as 40B projects.
sure.
So, and ditto DRC and the Historical Commission and the Conservation Commission, et cetera, et cetera. And That's the way it's always been.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think in a lot of towns, planning board has staff support, but ZBA doesn't. So it makes more sense for the site plan review authority to be the planning board because the planning board has staff support. In a lot of towns, ZBAs don't have a lot of experience with peer reviews and, you know, a lot of the sort of technical things that are common in subdivision control, so it defaults more often to planning board. But there's nothing to say that, you know, it's a best practice, and you guys have been doing it for a long time here, so we weren't going to take it on ourselves to sort of change that if everyone decides that it should change. Obviously, that's an easy change to make in terms of how to write it. But
Well, to that point, so if there is to be sort of an administrative review that might catch a lot of these, items that are before, does it, who do you envision to be the administrative staff?
so,
We got to have them.
so
Yeah.
you know, a lot of communities,
That's Carla.
a lot of communities have technical review teams or, staff, basically it's an ad hoc committee of fire, police, health, conservation, building. So I've seen site plan review. Where was it that we just did? Oh, is it Waltham? Someone that has basically a whole bunch of department heads and they do site plan review.
Yeah, Lynn,
But
yeah.
Lynn, that's it. But it's all advisory. So it could be something like that, or it could be one lucky guy who gets to do it all by himself. Again, it's not our decision, but I think if it's going to serve the intended purpose, it's not a bad idea to have it be some sort of team of a core group of department heads or their designees who get together once a week, once every other week, look at the applications that have come in that trigger the administrative review. Does anyone have any concerns about this? If not, you sign off on it. If so, you address it. But putting it all just on building, I think the fact is, and I don't want to speak for you, but if you have a concern about stormwater, you're going to want to go to DPW engineering anyway, so it might make sense to have them involved.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think that I'm used to pre-site plan review that takes care of most of all the issues up front and the larger project. Again, we're not talking about single family homes. We're talking about larger projects. So, I would not want to take on all that myself. I don't think we have the capability of dealing with that, quite frankly.
So can I ask the question of the ZBA? Because your question is a good question. I didn't know if it was coming from a don't take it away from us or please get it out of our hands. One or the other. I don't know.
I'll speak for the CBA, but I don't think anybody was asked to have that taken away from them.
No. That's why I want to make sure. Were they saying, are you trying to steal this from us? Or we'd be happy to have it gone, or
Well, it wasn't they, by the way, it was just me.
I mean, so I'll chime in with a couple kind of thoughts maybe on topic. So I like what you guys are doing here, right? The site plan review right now is messy, it's clunky for us, and so having it be a little bit more tiered out so it's more streamlined is effective. But I also would agree with Tom in the sense that unless it rises to the level of a special permit, I think we still struggle with like, what can we do with any of those? Because we can't say no to them. All we can do is kind of condition them, and it's just this process that we make people go through that we don't have really any teeth to it. And so I would argue if we're going to go down this road of re-envisioning site plan review, we make it either we put more stuff into the actual bylaws and get rid of site plan review, and it's just in there as a thing that we all can see and read and understand how to do it, and maybe have site plan for bigger projects where it makes sense. That's my take. Again, I like what is happening here because it's cleaning up a process that's not great, but I would maybe take a step back and say, do we want to have this process?
I agree.
That's good.
Since we have this unicorn opportunity of everybody in the same room, which has it ever happened? I feel like there should be food and
Full
music.
quorum, yeah. There's food right here.
Does anyone respond to the numbers that are in this table? There are two other things I would like to make sure we touch base about. You put in here about the application where the total number of proposed parking spaces is more than 20. Obviously, that would be commercial, and that's slightly different for us. But it came up. We had, when we added our ADU bylaw, we sort of had a wrestling match over whether or not to put site plan review. And my personal concern was that we would be potentially doubling the number of families without making sure the parking was, sort of like, it was mostly sort of like a car concern. And so has anybody looked at, like, is there a threshold for, how should we put ADUs into this? And then I think we sort of touched on the creation of the nonconformities, but is there anything that we can put in there? I mean, so many of these are variances that are like existing variances, and we're either reducing them. I mean, so many things are triggered because they're already weird properties. Is there anything we can do to soften that blow?
So, to start with ADUs, the statute and the regulations do say you can require site plan review. And it sort of becomes a question of, again, what is it you're trying to accomplish? You can't say no. You can't require parking if you're within a half mile of a transit stop. You can't require more than one parking space if you're not. You could, I guess, regulate where that parking space is located, what it looks like, but you can't say no if they can satisfy those requirements unless you can prove that the impact on the ADU is outweighed by the need.
I'm all for ADUs, so it would mostly just be a chance to say, where's that car going?
Well, and where
So
might
that we don't end up with a bunch of parked cars in the neighborhood.
where might a hedge go along the side so that the lights don't shine into
Right.
like things,
Yeah.
small
It was-
things
it was
that
a
aren't
big
saying
park,
no, but
so-
like a chance to have someone look at it and say, but we didn't put it in there. It's
So
not
I don't know
there.
if there's an if you can't park 1.5 times the number of living units, I mean, is there something we can put in there that's?
Again, what I would say is, those are all very legitimate concerns. They're equally legitimate for a single family home, right? So if you're going to say that parking spaces for ADUs need to be configured and screened in a way to prevent headlight glare into abutting properties, you really should be doing that for the single family homes themselves. Because the regulations also say you can't impose a dimensional requirement on an ADU that you don't impose on a single family. So, to some of the comments we've heard, do you just sort of create a reasonable, objective, clear standard that's going to apply across the board rather than creating another level of review for the ADU? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm just sort of, again, trying to give you some of the options. When you think about ADUs, what I've heard from a lot of clients is you have to really want to build an ADU for it to make any sense, because with the cost of building materials and construction labor and construction loans at 8%, you're not going to make that money back on the rent you can get for a 850 square foot one bedroom.
Yeah, no, we want to encourage them in the context of sort of aging in place and those sorts of things, but.
So, right, which, a motivated, affluent homeowner might still build that ADU, even if there's sort of a lengthier review process. But someone who's maybe on the fence about building it, putting it in the basement, putting it above their garage, might think twice.
How many have we had?
More than a dozen.
That many?
Wow.
How many standalone, and how many standalone structures?
Mostly standalone.
Really?
Really?
I thought they were mostly, I would have
It's
thought they
like
were
a
mostly.
great town
Standalone in
for
the
them.
sense that if it's attached, it's not part of the dwelling, it's not a basement.
I was
It's
thinking
a-
like garage,
Those would be
conversion or something like that. I know of one of those, but
There's a dozen that, I think my issue with ADUs is that
No, there are that many.
spending time on regulating ADUs
Those are pretty
is
dumb, we ask them. Who's that?
probably not a worthwhile exercise because the state is very clear on what you can and cannot do.
Right.
Has there been
And for the most
anything,
part, you can do mostly anything that you want.
just between us and our millions of viewers on WinCam, is there any concern that you've seen come up with any of them that we could help with the bylaw change, or do you feel like generally they're going pretty well?
I think the only issue that we have struggled with, and I think we have two town councils that agree with this, is non-conforming lots. So we have non-conforming lots, many in Winchester. The way our bylaws read is if you have a non-conforming lot, you can increase the structure, the primary structure. When you go to the accessory structure, probably requires, it may require a variance. So if you have just the ADU, you can do it by right. But when you put a garage on it, the garage becomes the issue. The garage will likely, at least the way I read it, the garage will require a variance because you are increasing the nonconformity of that lot.
Even if it hits the setbacks and all of that?
Even if it hits the setbacks
because it's a weird lot.
or not. So,
Okay, good to know.
so the ADU is the protected use.
Yeah. But the
Structure under it is not the protected use.
So you can put, if you have a, a lot that is 9,000 in a 10,000 foot zone, the ADU can go there by right.
All right.
But if you want to build a garage on it, that's an accessory.
That will likely trigger a variance.
Oh.
And so we have an accessory, and again, this is, I'm not sure we want to go down this path, but
Go, Tom, go.
we have an accessory, so we can put a garage 5 feet from the lot line. So, which means that you can put an ADU 5 foot from the lot line. And you may be able to build a 40-foot ADU 5 foot from the lot line because it gets the same protection as a single family home. Now, it's going to be a very tall, small house, but you still may have a 40-foot structure 5 foot from the lot line in town.
And if you require a parking space for the ADU, I would argue that a one-car garage that's attached to the ADU would be entitled to the protection. If you're trying to add parking for the primary house, it wouldn't.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
and I've heard both sides from both, two different
all
councils.
very new.
It's very new, and I've heard the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So if it's created, if it's for the primary dwelling,
Okay,
you
gotcha.
need the variance. So
So why doesn't
Yeah,
it
it's
just say
very
it's
what I
for
was
the
saying.
but then I've heard that if it's for the ADU, you need variance.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
If it's your adult child and you're
it's
sharing a
evolving.
car?
I think for the most part, you can put an ADU pretty much where you want to, with the exception in Winchester, if you put a garage, you may or may not, well, you will require a variance.
Yeah.
And that's our position so far. We have not been challenged, but that's
So you can build an ADU with like an 8-foot wide, 7-foot tall door, and
yeah.
my front door is,
It'd be 15 foot from the other structure.
As long as you
And that square footage
refund
would
it at
though
the
count as
holidays,
square
we're
footage
good.
of the ADU
Right.
though, if you did that. It wouldn't it count as ADU square footage, not as, if you made your ADU with an 8-foot wide, 10-foot tall door that you walk into, that would now count as your ADU space up to the 800 square feet, I would assume.
Argue, maybe. Maybe. I mean,
Tastes are different, folks.
it's one of the more complicated bylaws that have been implemented in the state than I've ever seen. Not that I've been doing this that long,
Well,
but
and
it's
ADUs don't have site plan review in Winchester, so it's a little bit.
not only Winchester.
No, I meant so much of this has absolutely nothing to do with ADUs. In fact, all of it.
But if there were an issue,
there were a
we
way
could
to add
add
it
an
in.
administrative
Yes, I
site
agree.
plan review. If there are challenges we can catch, let's catch them.
Exactly.
What else, Jack?
What if the ADU brings them over the area?
So if you have a 3,600 square foot home, you only allow 3,600 square feet, you put a 900 square foot ADU, you're at 4,500 square foot, what do you do?
I think you get the 900 on top of that.
You think you get it on top?
Yeah.
Just a waiver on that?
By right.
But
Yeah,
in-
by
in
right.
Did you get that by right or by special permit? I would agree, but I think a lot of communities are saying that's special permit.
But we don't.
Because it's an ADU.
Because it's an
User by right.
ADU and the statute says you can't require a special permit for ADUs. And it's allowed on any single family lot or any lot in a single family district that has a primary dwelling. And if the effect of enforcing FAR is to prohibit a protected use ADU, then I'm pretty confident that a court would say that's not a reasonable regulation as applied.
So
There's only two reasons why you can get a special permit for an ADU. The second one,
Or more than that.
or between 900 and 1,200 square foot. Beside that, you cannot require a special.
So if you're in the 3,600 foot zone, you're in RG, and let's say you have, an existing 4,000 foot house, it's been there forever, and you want to put an ADU, it's 900 feet
By right.
By right.
by right.
I would do, I'm not sure all towns
Yeah, I'm just,
would do that, but I believe that that's a by right.
In fact, the regulations, I could pull up the exact language, but there's a provision in there that says you can't prohibit an ADU because the structure's already non-conforming.
because you already have a non-conforming structure. Let's say you have a
Because it's
corner,
an ADU.
excuse me?
Because it's an ADU.
So even if you're already non-conforming, you're going to make it more non-conforming, you still have to allow it.
Right, so if you have a house that's inside the setback somewhere, then
It's plain and simple, they want ADUs.
right. It always looked to me like every time they could go either way, they always went on the side of permit the ADU. Every time I hear them talk, the governor
It's
talk
a
about it.
very clear, policy priority. So the regulations are written in such a way as to make it very clear that in only very rare circumstances would it be appropriate to deny it. I don't know if you guys have more business on tonight, so I don't want to
No, we just,
overstay our.
we have we have a site plan review and we have a special permit.
Is there sort of any consensus on what direction we should go on some of these issues? Does everyone want to take a look at the grid and give
Yeah,
us your thoughts?
yeah, we'll feed them to Taylor.
Yeah.
But I had one other question, maybe administrative, if you see it that way. Last month, I think it was Nels who said that these don't belong in the zoning bylaws, that they should be in the regulations.
So certain things like submittal requirements,
Yeah, I need to understand that a little bit more. I mean, it sounded intriguing. We can make changes to the
Yeah, so
special permit and all that without getting town meeting approval.
Yeah. We have a bit of red line as well that
Yeah.
we didn't share. I think these are the things that were most critical to get.
Yeah,
feedback on.
sure.
But in terms of the red line, there are just a number of things that are pretty easy to take out. One is the submission requirements, the 18 paper copies.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a requirement for the illustration of and location of rooftop equipment and drawings renderings and elevations that can be in regulations. And then that was both in site plan review and special permit criteria. Besides that, special site plan review also had 20 copies. We can take that out.
Things like that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so we have a bit of a red line. To be honest, it was pretty clean. You don't have that many things in there that could be regulatory that aren't regulations already. So it was on the edges.
But we have, as we discussed earlier, we have site plan and design review in the center business district. We have design guidelines in the center business.
Yeah.
In the mixed use district, we have special permit and we have site plan review. And then we have in the MOD, we have site plan review. And then we've got sections 9.4 and 9.5.
Yeah.
So they're not all the same. And that's where I get confused.
Yeah, so, what I would say overall is what you want in the bylaw itself is, the things we've been talking about.
Yeah.
At what point is what type of approval needed?
Mm-hmm.
Are there performance standards that you want written into the bylaw, hard and fast, like building height? What you don't want, what we usually recommend come out of the bylaw and get put into regulations are things like submittal requirements, like
Yeah, niggling
all the bylaws
details.
and ordinances that
Yeah.
say you have to submit everything on a floppy disk.
Right.
So
Zip drives.
you don't want that stuff. That should be done by regulation.
Yes.
So that you can more nimbly change with the times.
Yes, exactly.
Now, design standards, design criteria, I think that's a little bit of a gray zone, and that's a matter of preference. A lot of communities will have sort of general high-level requirements in the bylaw, and will leave the nitty-gritty, what percentage of the front, facade needs to be masonry or,
Right.
glazed or whatever. Leave that sort of stuff to regulations that can, again, as you see how it plays out, can be changed more easily than a
Right.
bylaw.
Right.
Certainly none of the stuff we were talking about earlier in terms of what triggers site plan review, we would never suggest that that should be done by regulation.
Yeah, I think if Carla and Tom could nail something like that on their wall as a reference guide, make life easier, wouldn't it?
The other,
It's all about.
the other thing I would say is, Taylor mentioned this at the end of the last meeting, which was that those newer site plan review regulations are kind of working as intended and are kind of what we're trying to move
Yes.
towards, but it's these that are really causing the problems, so that's what we're trying to drill down on. I think the one thing that I would like closure on, just because we have everyone here, is still just going back to this topic of what to do about FAR in single-family buildings and whether that is something you want to continue to regulate through site plan review, or as an alternative, you could introduce an FAR requirement or maximum in your dimensional standards, and then say if you want to exceed that, it could be site plan review or special permit, but then to just kind of bypass that and continue to regulate through all the other dimensional standards, height, site plan, et cetera.
Right. And that isn't just FAR necessarily. I mean, if you wanted to say, we're no longer going to be in the site plan review of single-family homes business, you just take that off the table and you have performance standards written into the bylaw, and site plan review would be the exception to the rule instead of the rule, so that, oh geez, I really don't have room to terrace my retaining wall the way it's required in the bylaw, so the bylaw gives me the option of going to the ZBA and asking for that to be waived through site plan review, and it's a more realistic approach than trying to get a zoning variance.
Isn't that what we already do? You come, and if any of those things hit, then you go to the
You have to come no matter what.
well, you don't if you don't hit any of the criteria. I mean, they were just saying change the criteria is all we're saying, I think, which
Yeah.
I agree with. I mean, it's just sort of having not looser, tighter, but more lenient criteria maybe is the better word. I don't know if that's the right word, but
Well, both more easily administered
Yeah.
and perhaps less restrictive.
not the grade and volume and somebody has to calculate what that is.
Yeah.
Easier to administer and easier for people to understand.
Yeah.
You know, it's an easy thing a concept to get across at the counter, you know.
So, I think those are policy decisions. Do you want the default to be that most things will have to come for site plan review, or do you want the default to be most things will not have to come for site plan review, but there's a path towards getting relief from some of these standards that's not a zoning variance?
I'd say the latter, yeah.
Great, so we'll think of some objective standards that would probably be the outcome of what the site plan review process would come to. So like you've done the site plan review and now they have the terraced small retaining walls. So okay, we're just going to write that in and try to do that for as many of these as we can.
Yeah.
And then in that way kind of show people what these two boards are looking for.
Yeah,
And then like try and restrict it in that way.
But in the meantime, if we can get, any feedback on sort of what numbers we should be plugging in, if any of these, categories you agree with, you don't agree with,
Yeah.
you think some should come out, we missed something, that would certainly be helpful.
Yeah, and then, of course, once we have the final product on June 30th or before, we will be having public hearings on these, and we will hear from concerned citizens and other boards saying, 6 feet is too high, I mean, you should make it 5. I'm just making that up, but yeah, then we can adjust it. And then what the town meeting sees is not necessarily precisely what you give us. That's fine.
Right. I mean, that does sort of just not a big deal at all, but I noticed that you've been opening this as a public hearing.
Yeah.
Totally fine. You don't have to, because
Oh, really?
from a legal standpoint, until there's actually a zoning amendment that gets sent to the select board, for the select board to refer back to the planning board, at that point you have to have a public hearing, has to be noticed and advertised, has to go to surrounding. But you don't have, there's no reason you shouldn't. I'm not saying you're doing it
We always
wrong.
have.
Anytime we consider zoning bylaw changes,
That's great.
that's sort of been the rule of thumb.
Yeah. I just figured I'd mention it.
Yeah, that's fine.
But when we have an actual proposal, when we have the amendment in the form that you want to see it go into the warrant, at that point, we're going to need to send it to the select board and ask them to send it back to you for the statutorily required public hearing.
David,
I have comments on 9.4. Can I send them to you directly?
send them to Taylor. Yeah,
It's normally there.
this is pretend Taylor.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a preference. I think
Just to control
my
the
experience
flow.
generally is that staff likes to sort of be able to sort of just manage.
Yeah, to winnow out the redundancies,
I didn't hear you.
To winnow out the redundancies. I mean, if I say the same thing you say 2 days later, and they get it twice, it's,
And I think we had covered this before, that they'll also be making some recommendations about how to make the plan, like the process smoother. So if there are points of interface between feedback from planning board or design review that kind of procedurally could be easier for the ZBA, I think that feedback is helpful in addition to the criteria that we're talking about today, right?
Absolutely.
Carla should be tagged in for that. She's a wizard.
I mean, we want to make their life easier, and we want to make the residents' life easier.
residents' life easier.
But we would like
And-
their life to be easier,
Yeah,
too.
no, I agree. The outcome's better with less labor.
yes.
Well, I'll just say that I think the most important thing is the substance of what we're doing. Process, you can fix if you want, but it's secondary. We want to get the right result.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, absolutely.
If it takes a little longer to get the right result, let's take a little longer.
Sure.
I think I'm the only one that's low-key obsessed with this, but since we have ZBA people here, is 3 the right number for you, do you feel? Like, for members? Like, we're looking at, it's come up every, like, it feels like
Three
so
members
much
and 2
pressure to
alternates?
have 3 people and alternates to hop in. Is that hitting quorum fine? I don't know.
I happen to think it
You
works
like-
really well.
It does? Okay. Oh,
But
never been on your side of the fence, so.
It means you need a unanimous vote for certain things.
For most things,
Whereas-
except for
Site plan.
comprehensive permit. and site plan.
So what does site plan review require?
Okay.
It's simple majority currently. I mean, some communities require the supermajority for site plan also, but that's the exception to the rule. So,
And we require 4 members of 5 for a special permit, and they're required to have 3 of 3 on a 3-member, okay. I don't know if that makes your life easier or harder. If there's someone who's always obstinate or someone that's like never going to vote yes, it would make your life more complicated. If you had 5 members, you can dilute the one who always says no to everything. I don't think you have that though, so it's not a problem.
we just make them so miserable.
it can be more of a problem with absences.
Yeah.
If someone, someone is out for more than one hearing session, that requires you to re-advertise and notice the hearing, start over. But
We've had that problem occasionally,
and if you have alternates who are active and they're attending the meetings regularly, then they should be able to step in if that happens.
So I'll give a public thank you to the ZBA, because I think, at least in the 3 years that I've been here, the process has improved drastically. I think that it was not a great relationship between the building department and the ZBA, but now it seems to be much more fluid and we're much more instant. And I think these guys
Great.
and ladies deserve
Good news.
credit for that. And Carl, mostly Carl.
I was going to say, Carl had something to
I'm not going to take credit for this, Carl. But we really have formed a great relationship.
Great. Thank you, gentlemen.
Do you need
Thanks for having us.
anything more from us for tonight?
Not for tonight.
Okay, just want to make sure while you're here.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you
so
for
much.
coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Do we want to move to continue the public hearing to whatever?
Would you please make that motion
move to continue the public
June
hearing
9th.
to,
June 9th?
is June 9th the date?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to be very tired, but yes, move to continue the public hearing to June 9th.
I will not be here the previous Tuesday, so.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, say aye.
I will.
We have a new chair.
I will.
That was very good.
I'm flying back from Amsterdam that morning. So
That morning?
Kind of tired.
You'll be
I
as,
admire this board's commitment to flying into planning board meetings. I'm on our traditions. I'm happy.
I moved my flight next week to make sure I would have like crystal clear.
where are you going now?
Honestly, after 2 years of not being able to leave literally my house to go
True.
anywhere, we kind of
Yeah.
leaned into the
You're
year.
splurging.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just like everything that was like, oh, do you guys want to go do that? We're like, oh yeah, we do. We
Sure.
really want to do all of it, and then we realized that actually becomes quite
Right.
exhausting.
Do it now
Yeah.
before they're out of the house, and then
Well,
you say
and
I
that's-
can't do it with them anymore.
This one is just me.
Good night, Dave.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Do
it now before you have others
coming. Has been with everyone,
Oh,
which
and
has been
you-
lovely, but it's exhausting.
If you could just do it by yourself, you should definitely do
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I was like, I could.
Well,
You could share a little bit.
yeah.
Sure.
And there might be a little bit of, I just presented this to DRC, so they didn't put the pages in order.
Slide whatever that platter is this way.
I'm sorry about that.
Are they
That's okay.
carry-friendly cookies?
They are not because she told me not to make them carry friendly. So
I'm macro-managing that I should eat more. So. Oh.
What is it? Oatmeal?
they're
Oatmeal?
sourdough chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, dear.
Wait, are we voting or is this an example of a voting party?
Thank you.
Our voice matters.
We are voting?
Oh, we're voting.
Oh.
Goodness.
Oh my God, that's really good. Thank you. Wow. How many calories per?
We have small size.
I know. Okay, I've got that.
Just
yeah.
8.
The banana bread was actually pretty low. These are.
Thank you. There are no calories in the select board room,
not-
right?
If you
No.
eat at a board meeting, there are no calories.
No.
These are locked together, right? We can't break up the sweet.
And my wife
Sorry,
makes
of course
cookies
you
and
want
she'll
to
say,
mix and match.
have a cookie. It's 100
You
calories.
can't have a cookie.
I'm cookie free this evening. It's gluten full and I'm cookie free by my request.
So I can start if everyone's ready.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Guess I'll stay seated. So I'll give you a breakdown of this is the wayfinding guide for the town of Winchester.
Right back. I wanted to. I didn't have one yet.
Okay. So this project is funded through the Commonwealth's Massachusetts MDI program. It aims to develop wayfinding strategies for the downtown area. It's been guided by a working group consisting of representatives from the Winchester Chamber of Commerce, Arts Winchester, and the Planning Department and other staff. We've begun in January, and it is continuing through June. So the goals were to provide signage to direct visitors and residents to and throughout the central business district, and to identify key points of interest and different attractions. To update the existing weathered municipal signage, we have a lot of existing weathered signs. To contribute to a sense of place in the CBD. Provide consistent, holistic municipal signage while keeping the historic design of downtown Winchester and creating multiple gateways into the downtown area. And we're incorporating the 2025 Town of Winchester brand guide for some of this designing. So here's our existing signage. It's pretty limited, inconsistent. Municipal buildings do have existing signage. Some are consistent design, but since installed, these were in 2016. We've got some serious fading. I don't know if this. Yeah. I took this yesterday. As you can see, very faded, very cracked, practically falling apart.
I feel old. I think that just went in.
I know. I feel the same
I
way.
feel like yesterday. Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. I mean, and
I remember it was new.
this was new. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was. It's got this weird gradient thing. And then it's fading a little bit. Some of the hinges look like
What's the
they're falling.
material?
Looks pretty haunted in that. Is that
I know. I thought it was,
What's the material in the sign?
that's like a plastic, like
The tree
a
coming in from the right.
vinyl plastic.
So it's applied to a substrate.
To metal substrate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, actually, I didn't even notice this till now. Some of the screws are, like,
Yeah.
it's just, it needs. Here's the library. It's not even the same color as the other ones. A little more maroon, and this is a little more different, contemporary. This might be. It's already the smallest sign, and there's some clear visual fading, and then
The cracking.
large crack, even larger on the other side. The examples of the wayfinding for the business district were broken. We did it into 3 categories. We've got here the traditional. This is what most downtowns in Mass and other towns do it. There's transitional, which is sort of keeping some elements of the past, but has some contemporary elements, and then full-on contemporary, kind of postmodern, newer artistic options. So to get a better view, this might be a better view for everyone than the cards. I don't know why they didn't transition very well, but at the option 1, we've got more somewhat contemporary of a design, still keeping the elements of traditional and historic character, but it's a little more, just slightly more sleek, slightly more modern. And then at the bottom, it's got a little more of a historic character, Victorian elements. You see the ornamentation on the bottom there. If you look on the far left, the old school kind of multiple different signs, or versus you look at option 1, it's one sign. That's just a preview for now. We've got 4 color options. These are what we coordinated with the group. We've got the blue to kind of match the new branding colors. Green, just thought we wanted to bring that in. Red, because there are
Black.
the red,
Yeah,
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah. And then there's we wanted to go a little bit of wild card with the yellow as well. That's the only one with the black.
Do you know what the
Right.
typeface is?
Typeface. I'll have to look. That's a good question. I might have to mark that on your card.
It's,
You're throw Helvetica at us, aren't you?
pardon me?
You're going to throw Helvetica at us, aren't you?
I do know that we do have the name of it, so I can get you that. That's,
Just want to make sure people don't mind that typeface. I don't care at all, but some people are going to care a lot.
I like it. I would like a serif type. And I,
yeah, like more. Okay.
Yeah.
Comic Sans.
Yeah.
That's yeah, right.
Maybe we're supposed to really confuse people. We put up signs, but you can't read them.
Right. And yeah, maybe you could argue this is a little too small, or I mean, so just a bit of visual. This is where each color. We've got traditional and contemporary together. This is what they would look like. So it helps visualize it.
So
one of your sheets on here should have a better action. This has the best view of it.
The only thing I like personally better about the Victorian style is the old school separate
Yeah, a lot of people.
bar on the far left. So
Like
if you
these,
mix
right?
and match, I
Yeah.
prefer that one
Yeah.
and then the top suite. But I don't.
Yeah, and we can. I think I'll talk more about this, but I think we can do a little bit of mixing and matching. Like maybe you like the panels on that one, but not the ornamentation on it.
Exactly.
Ultimately, I do want everyone to pick, practically which option I like better, option 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But feel free to leave comments on if you want, if it's more nuanced than that, of course. Okay, so the proposed signage network in the downtown includes the following sign types. Navigational signage, downtown welcome signage, a central kiosk in the town common, municipal location signage, so like town hall, public safety building, public works, and then municipal parking signage to guide where the main parking lots are in town.
That's hugely.
So this is principally for Center Business District. We're not going to
Yes.
put them on the Arlington line and
Yes.
the Medford line.
Well, so we've got some that are a little more far out, but that's for these directional ones.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about like the kiosks, stuff like this,
Yeah.
this is going to be more downtown.
Oh, of course. That makes more
but we've
sense.
got a couple. We thought there's to the point of sense of place is that you're coming in from Stoneham. A lot of people come down Highland Avenue.
Yeah.
You want to see that you're in Winchester, maybe a more prominent way than what's already there, or coming in from Grove Street. A lot of people come in through Church Street, so we just
Yeah.
thought of the most pinpointed, the most key intersections
Yeah.
where people can get. And the welcome signage, this is to welcome you into the Central Business District.
Okay.
So we've got welcome signage for the town, but also for welcome to downtown Winchester.
So the bases are different also.
Yes. Yeah. It is interesting because the more contemporary one does probably have more of a traditional base with its old. I don't know what else to call it, but So I talked to the DRC about maybe that could be something that's mixed and matched. I think their costs go into that. There might be more. That might be more expensive at the bottom, but the ornamentation might offset the cost of that on the other one.
I'd also worry about durability.
Yeah, I mean, the base of those look like something that's going to crack unless they're made out of metal.
Well, like the ornamentation.
The base on that could
Yeah,
crack, and the
yeah.
metal on that's going to.
Yeah, like I'd be worried that the ornamentation on the bottom of the right,
Yeah.
which is probably what would draw people to pick that option,
Yeah.
would be very easy to like break off a snowstorm or ice or deteriorate. Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about that in the DRC.
I worry about this.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
want to.
That was also brought up because
Yeah.
and then they would
Or
really
take
have
that more.
It would be wobbly. I think the idea is that it would not make the mistakes of the past, and there would be a very holistic, taking, real investment into that, so that it's not poor quality. It's meant to last.
Yeah.
I think that base, the more ornamental, wider base,
Yeah.
that I believe is you have the same size pole that it's applied.
Right.
It doesn't actually go into the ground.
It's more.
Oh, yeah.
It's not exactly.
It's probably two halves
Snaps
screwed
on.
or it's screwed. They're screwed to each
Yeah.
other.
Hopefully, it's not too visible. That.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Or limit.
And I would lose. I'd prefer the sign on the right-hand side with the more substantial base, and I would lose the ornamentation on the bottom.
Yeah. We've gotten that.
Yeah, just a little.
Mix and match there. Yeah. So remove them, but the shape too.
I like that it's very clean, you know. I mean, it's,
Can mix and match with that.
yeah.
I recognize, and I hope you come to celebrate what a freak I am about the herring run. So I will continue to advocate for signage around the fish ladder and the
Okay.
dam,
Yeah.
educating the public about what is happening when it's just like a crowd that lives there for a month with nature photographers and the penguin
It's
things.
pretty soon, isn't it?
Yes, my friend.
And you
Get
know what?
excited.
Are you going to tell me when?
They're usually running right around Enka,
Yeah, that's right. Oh.
like somewhere between Enka and Town Day.
I think, yeah, having a sign there would be great.
Like
I'm
just
glad
so
you
that
mentioned
this is what's happening.
Do you think like a kiosk like I mean,
I would work with Elaine and the Conservation Commission on that one. I will defer to them. But yes, like or even if it's a plaque mounted on the wall with the.
yeah, 'cause-
Bridge?
Thank you.
Sounds like.
I think what you're thinking of might be more like a smaller version of this.
Yeah, I mean, not to block the view, it's something free. I mean, whatever it is, now that we have a cohesive, I've been sort of like, Anne's store had drawn up like a version that could have been used. Like, I would really love people to stand there and learn a little bit about that project, because it's pretty great.
I think that's an excellent comment, and put that on your card. We will note that, and we will think that because this is the only spot we have for the kiosk so far. But I think we could ask them to look at options for like a miniature kiosk instead of, this is a very grand,
Yeah.
middle of town,
We also
where
have,
everything, map on it, where everything's at, so.
we also have that sign for the, right there at the dam for the Converse House, which was put there in 1933, was it?
I didn't notice the sign, so maybe that's the idea.
It's still there.
Yeah, is to.
There
that
was
one could be
originally 5 of those in town, and I think there's only 2 left. There's one up at Washington at Forest Street. It was the Harvard land grant, John Harvard.
Yeah.
There's just 2. There was also one down at the Arlington line. I forget what that was for.
I think that we could look at putting a new one there too, and replacing it. If
Well, you
it's
wouldn't want to get rid of that necessarily. would you?
No,
Depends on its weathering.
Yeah. But those were well made. I mean, think
Those
about
were-
it.
okay.
It's
Go take a
8 years
look at
old
it.
and still there.
You can still read it.
Well, that's good. That's an exception. So, yeah, like I said, the welcome sign. We got North Main, Mount Vernon, Church. These are where we think most people either walk or drive in.
Yeah.
Parking, very important that, you know, right now parking signs are usually like a metal sign. Sometimes
The little blue sign.
Yeah.
right. This is a little more, you know, good looking. It's just it's still very large so that people can see where everything is. This one might be where the traditional doesn't look as good with
Right.
like a contemporary parking sign. So
Yeah.
Did you also catch, I don't know if it's too far outside the spot there, I'm trying to orient myself to the one that tells you where downtown is when you're like coming down Wildwood.
yeah,
Oh, and Wildwood takes the right turn there. And
Yeah, and it's like, no, not
there's a-
Pine.
no, don't go down Pine Street.
Yeah. It's just a sad little sign.
Yeah, well, they did improve it
I think it's a
recently.
little outside your map. I'm just putting it
yeah.
on your radar.
That might be more for directional, maybe.
Yeah, well, definitely directional. I think I see where. No, it's
These ones
near
aren't
the
as big.
cemetery. I mean, it's.
Oh, is that? Up by the bikeway? Sorry, so sorry. Oh,
No, I'll show you where it is. It's,
Wildwood Street right here.
yeah, right
Wildwood, and then you see the 2 pond. You see Big and Little Winter. You take this right.
See, this is the cemetery. So it goes here,
Oh, yeah.
and then there's a. If you go right after this corner at Wildwood, it hangs a right, and there's Church Street, and people want to drive into Pine Street there, which is just a quiet little neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's a little
So the neighborhood people put a sign right on that corner, on the telephone pole.
downtown.
Go to the right. Yeah, somebody in the neighborhood did.
Well, that might be. I appreciate that comment because I think that would be good. These are directional, so
Yes, it would be.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what they need there. That's what
Yeah.
they
The
would
neighborhood
want.
would appreciate it.
Not, you know,
Yeah.
And that's Nick's neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Is it? I never
Yeah,
knew.
if you turn on, he's on Pine Street in Church,
Oh.
right across from the Methodist Church.
Well, I guess we'll ask which one first too. So, yeah, it all follows through the same designs. Where are we now? Yeah. So this is a better look at the navigational ones.
Pardon me?
This is where every you know, the Griffin Museum. This is where like we
Yeah.
viewers to
That's great.
attractions, different. I know it's kind of a high concentration right now, but they're a lot more spread out than the map shows.
So is the production of this signage, are they funded?
So this
I dare ask?
this is the planning stages. So we got a consultant at Inez Land Strategies Group to create this for us.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is get feedback from as many boards as we can, and then kind of go from there on starting the search for the funding for it.
And you'll present this to Historical Commission too?
Yes, on May 12th, because Taylor will be bringing this to the select board on the 18th.
Okay,
So we're just trying to get Arts Winchester Chamber, DRC, Historic, Planning.
Yep.
You should also check with, I'm going to butcher whatever the name of this actual committee is, despite the fact that it's an extremely important committee, but the ADA Compliance Committee.
Yes.
Yes, that's a good one.
Is it the DAC?
Thank you.
Disability Access Commission, yeah.
Thank you. I know my lack of knowing that
No,
acronym
that's
does not
okay.
reflect
You're
my
excused.
feeling of their importance. But I know
I
there are
should've
some
thought of
actual
that.
regulations on
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
font color to background color.
Yes.
You could use
Height.
Graham Layton to check if it's visible.
So, like the height of signs. So I would just definitely want to get their weigh in
Yes.
as
I think
well
that's-
if
I
they're
think
not
that's
on your list of
a good point.
committees.
That's a good point. I think we should put that. I wonder when they're. I think they could have a meeting before the 18th, and we'll definitely try to get on their agenda
You,
to present this.
yeah. I don't know that this is like necessarily. If you can't get the committee, they have a rep on
Yes.
the EFPBC, and they meet every week.
Well, okay.
And like that, which is kind of what sparked me to think of it, because we've had those conversations with things regarding the school buildings, with signage and.
Yeah, and I think I
But
would want
I
them to
would
have a vote
imagine
on
they're
this as
meeting
well
between
too.
now and then. But
That's a fair point. I'll bring that up to Taylor. And yeah, that's a big part of this too. Is really trying to guide and do it in a successful way as well.
Who's going to decide points are the points of interest that we want to have directions to?
What do you want on there, Brian?
What?
What are you thinking about?
No, I was thinking like that one is only going to 2 locations and it's kind of confusing, but I was joking. Most
Yeah, and they're going different directions.
Yeah, town halls everywhere.
probably people are going to need to start brainstorming. Where do people need to go? They need to get to the high school. They need to get to town hall. They need
Town
to get to the
center,
They need to get
town
town center. They
Train station.
hospital,
There's gonna-
unless it's got
that list is
federally
gonna need,
regulated.
like,
A lot of
it's
betting.
going to take a lot of thinking to get.
And I guess
Municipal arts.
my immediate answer is that's why in that very middle, the roundabout there, I mean, that's where the most,
Yeah.
that's where it's more important. That's why it's very concentrated there
Yeah.
with multiple signs with
When the people
4
are going
different
the wrong way in the
directional things
roundabout.
on them.
Should throw it in for our sister city in France or something.
Montpellier, or is it?
No, it's
5,000 miles that way?
Maybe it's Saint-Germain.
Saint-Germain.
Oh, it's yeah. Yeah, we have signage for that
So you
too.
put distances on that, like town hall, 1,000 feet or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why
The
it's
France one's
important.
good.
Yeah,
Like, this takes up a little more space, like it might
Now we're getting
Yeah.
ridiculous. We're
be better for that.
that is better for
You
that.
know, that's what I think,
That's why we
to
can't
answer your
use
question is, your feedback will help with that. You know, well, we want to take suggestions on what people think should be highlighted.
I tried
that
so
can be
hard to
left
get
on the
everyone
notes
to go to
and
bagel bar. We could get.
with your vote, you're deciding which one does a better job. at it.
Design, yeah, design.
Fits more stuff, you know, which one.
And that one allows you to, I presume, I don't know, does that allow you to do?
Yeah, like just a little bit more.
The full, yeah.
Yeah,
The other one does not. So this one,
that's a good question, actually.
Which one?
Is it flat like that, or is it crossing?
Well,
like
you could have the signs going this way.
New York City.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
directional.
because that would be nice, because then you could,
I don't
you then could put Saint Germain,
Yeah.
4,000 miles.
I also.
I think that can be. I would say I think I can. That can.
How easily updated are these? Not that the names of anything are changing anytime in the near future, but if there was
Demolish the town.
no, but like if the Griffin Museum would all of a sudden have a name change, like,
Yeah.
and it was on all the signs, like that would just be annoying.
That's a tough thing because we are trying to make them built to
Permanent.
last and
Right.
not crack and everything. But
Right.
you're right, things do change.
Or if there was, like for the parking ones, if there's ever a shuttle in town and you want to have a
Yeah.
QR code put on it so you can like hail the shuttle or something, I don't know.
And you
Yeah.
don't want them to have a sticker go on it that looks awful when
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we've seen that everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't be.
Or like supplemental signage to like, if there's a point of interest on the one on the right and you want to add another row, can you add
Yeah.
another dangly thing?
I think I'm still learning how like some of the. I think that like could be something at like town meeting would be voted on. Let's get the funds to change something that's
Yeah.
really necessary for
Yeah.
to let, fix confusion.
Right.
I think they'll be built to last. They'll be built to last, but I think things are built where they can get fixed. That's a good concern, though. I do concern about that too.
Did you go to other, like Lexington, how do they do this?
Yeah, these are the land strategy group. They based it on that.
Okay.
They
Surveyed a
worked
lot
with
of
other
towns.
towns. They surveyed a lot of
Yeah.
towns. Some that are moving more towards contemporary design, some that are keeping the historic.
Right.
And I think they viewed looking at that Winchester sort of in that in between. So they this is what they came up with so far. What's this? Yeah, municipal signage. That's kind of like the ones that you see outside of town hall, right? It's the public safety building, town hall.
And the logo that's shown there is actually not the logo we use. We use our real logo, right?
Yeah, I mean, and as I mentioned in the beginning, this is part of the new branding.
Yes.
So this is new signage, yes, and
Okay.
or new logo, correct. So
What kind of flower is that? I forgot. On the logo, somebody told me. No, not that one. The logo.
the lily was the other one.
It's a lily?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought it was a.
I think
mum
this
or
is
something.
ultimately what they. It's close. Yeah, that's it. So
Very good. Thank you.
What do you want from us?
what I would like, I know it's hard to. I know we want to mix and match. Ultimately, vote yes, based off what you think is practically your best option.
I really don't think Ryan can see it.
But please make as many notes as possible.
Yeah.
I want this mixed and matched. DRC already did that. There's this full of.
Oh, already they did it?
They have made their votes for yes.
Oh, they did it well.
Ranked choice.
No, we don't have that in town yet. We haven't passed that.
Yeah, that would be.
God forbid.
number 2. I'm just that oppositional defiant personality.
And feel free to put your names on it if you're fine with that, unless you want to keep it
I'm going to put Amy.
confusing.
So my problem is, I think the green looks the best, but I
Yeah.
think the point from the DAC or anybody else is, I don't know how that would work the best.
Yeah.
But it looks the best to me for.
I voted and wrote.
I think for now,
ability.
yeah, that's a fair. You can do whatever criteria. I think the point was for designage right now, just plainly. Designage, practicality, it's a mix of all those things, but whatever you feel comfortable with. And
Well,
excellent. Yeah. Please leave as many comments.
Oh, I left you none.
See,
If you have nothing, say.
You said a couple things. Which,
see attached.
Yeah.
That's a fun project.
I'll look back at the minutes. Oh, thank you.
With the
This is
hospital
great. Thank you for
signs,
bringing this
Oh,
forward.
yeah.
This is phenomenal.
I see the Winchester Hospital signs all over,
Yeah.
not only
Yeah.
like in Winchester, but like other communities for obvious reasons. Is that included in the scope, or is that like an
State.
I think-
state or federal, or?
I don't think
I
you-
assume so, but.
Same with the schools, for example. We don't have jurisdiction on that. Like,
Yes, schools have their
sign.
own, yeah.
And I'm assuming hospitals is the same.
But we would want signs to the school.
That's what I mean, like to the hospital, like Winchester Hospital that way.
That would be on these.
Yeah, in Winchester High School that way.
Right.
Like I don't.
Well, you could really start because you should
Winchester
get
Hospital.
fields.
Thank you.
Like, I'm still not sure which one's Manchester.
Manchester is.
behind the old high school.
Yeah, it's got the old high school. Well done.
it's behind McCall.
Yeah,
So then Skillings that makes sense. It's
on Skillings,
Skillings is not.
which is also
really-
Charcha.
Yeah, that's the proper name.
okay.
Charcha.
That's only part of it, though. I think that's only the ball field.
Oh yeah.
What's the field up by St. E's across from the fire station? Is that west side? No.
It's called Mullen Field.
Oh, Mullen.
Yeah.
And west side is behind Mahoney's.
It's called.
Which is also new tile.
It's.
I know.
Yeah,
We're
Newtown.
encouraging people to come to town. They're coming to town for kids' sports, and they're like,
Where are we going?
"There's no label on
When
the
they-
street. How do you know?"
when they have the whatever the big tournament is, in baseball tournament in August, they have people parking in Mahoney's parking lot as it gets so crowded.
Those are some of the issues that hopes to
Generation
solve.
of children will never
Yeah.
have to suffer through MapQuest directions, printouts.
Print out and
Get
follow,
sports.
turn left.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my God, that
All
was
right, let's resume.
something that I
Okay, we actually have more work.
We actually have more agenda here. We have a couple.
was he down there, or
I think he's still.
he's still doing DRC? Yeah. Okay, great. So we can do you first.
So we really only have these the 22 Governor's Avenue and 24 Hillcrest Parkway.
Which one is? Oh, Governors. Okay, perfect.
He's still doing DRC. Yeah, he's still doing DRC, right?
You're 20. Well, then we'll go with you first.
Yeah. Do you want me to kick it off?
Yes, please kick it off.
So this is application of William Hendricks and Pinthia for special permit approval under Winchester zoning bylaw section 9.4, section 355. And the petitioners propose the construction of a second-story addition over an existing garage where a 15-foot rear setback is required and a 9.6 is proposed as it applies to premises known as 22 Governors Avenue, Winchester, Mass.
And you've got that. Okay, you're going to pull that up.
I can pull it up. Oh, that's weird.
Jack, how did you deal with sitting here?
A pain. I craned my neck. Actually, what I did was I put it on my computer.
We need swivel chairs here.
Oh, we do need swivel chairs.
Yeah, we should have
Swivel necks.
Yeah.
I just pull it up here and I'll look.
I just make sure I was on the right page.
No, this is it's fine.
I think they do need another
I
screen though.
purposely put you there just to torture you.
There.
Behind the board behind.
One should be closer to the audience because when I was in the audience,
Yeah.
I would forget my glasses and couldn't see anything.
another
Like
one
I could do
over
it on my
here.
phone or computer, but it.
So Taylor told me there's another screen
Yes, I heard
floating
rumors of
around,
that.
and
I would put it right here.
yeah, if it needs a bracket, I'll get the bracket. You know,
Let's do it.
You know, guy.
So, like,
Sorry, it's still loading.
There you go.
It's opening on that screen.
Besides, I'm closer to the cookies over here.
No, you're not.
Well, I am when they get past this
Oh,
one.
okay.
So I can
No, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
That one?
I can pull up
You can just pass me one.
plans you need.
No, I
I
think.
will wash my hands. Yeah.
I think we like to see the elevations.
Thank you. This is so good. I shouldn't.
The before and after we're good.
Well, when she said to purposely not do a gluten-free one, this is my favorite.
Okay, that's the current.
Just kind of stay.
This is the consistent.
Yeah. I mean, how do you get that?
Sorry?
that's the existing.
Yes. There's a Jewish deli in Connecticut that makes incredible gluten-free bagels.
Okay, there.
Rhymes.
So, would you like to tell us what you're doing? It's pretty obvious to me, but
We wanted to add a second bathroom for a long time, and it's very difficult in this model to actually create more space. But for creating more square footage, we actually needed to expand until a tree fell on that sunroom, and then we have now to take off the roof and make all the necessary repairs. So it is very efficient if we could just now add that space that we always wanted to add the second.
so you still don't have a roof on your sunroom?
That roof is still covered with tarp. Yeah.
Oh my God, how long has that been?
September 6th.
Ah,
September.
Yeah.
aye.
Yeah.
Rough winter to have.
Yeah, rough winter.
It was one of those
Open roof
microbursts
concept.
that went through fell.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you guys remember it.
I remember
Just
that.
took down one tree, which was very healthy.
I saw the picture. It looked nasty. Oh,
It was huge.
Oh, that's terrible.
But anyways, it now creates an opportunity for us because we have to do a major renovation of that sunroom anyway, and let's just do it and get it done. So it's just adding a floor on top of the sunroom, and then make it a gable roof. It is now a hip roof, we call it, which is a bit awkward, and it will make it actually a little bit prettier than it is.
Works better. You're adding how many square feet?
216. he's just listening.
So it's a single family home and I'm watching all of you.
Were you just down presenting to the DRC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wondered.
Yes.
Good timing.
Yeah.
This is an efficient night for you.
Yes, I got it all done.
Yeah.
There's also a historical committee that.
That's next week.
Next week, but it's during this one.
I don't have any questions. This seems pretty cut and dried to me.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Looks good.
Well, I'm just curious, what did DRC?
They said if the shingles of the roof and also the sidings would be exactly the same thing, they didn't have any other. That was
I
a
would agree.
condition.
I would agree with that.
I mean, it would probably
Of course.
You're gonna be redoing the primary roof probably.
Yeah.
Asphalt shingles.
Yes.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
This is only here because the lot behind you is a really odd shape. I was looking at the,
Yes.
they've got this little piece of land that goes in and they have this big L-shaped space behind you, which of course is the way it is. But it's the only reason we're here. Otherwise, you would not be non-conforming setback and you'd just be able to do this by right.
9.6.
Yeah, and it has to be 15.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like an obvious thing to say yes to. I have no opposition to it. I think it's a smart addition and it looks great. So,
I will, unless anybody else anything else to say, I will entertain a motion to that effect.
move to recommend favorable action on, remind me the address?
22 Governors.
22 Governors
Avenue.
Because the proposed addition does not negatively impact the neighborhood.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vote. John?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
And I also vote aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Good luck with the and you see the ZBA on the 14th?
Yes, it's
Good.
the 14th. So you said the historical committee on that 12th?
12th.
Oh, okay.
Next Tuesday,
Time it is?
7:30.
Okay, we'll be there. Great, thank you so much.
And they're usually in the basement where you were with the,
For the design.
The other room, on the other side.
oh, they're going to be in Waterfield?
She was
Historical.
just in Waterford.
Oh,
So
okay,
they're
no,
gonna
then
be in the-
they're going to
The
the
one that's
Mystic,
closer to.
closest to the elevator.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have a site plan review for Hillcrest, 24 Hillcrest Parkway.
Yeah, so he's still, I believe, presenting to the DRC.
Oh, he's down there?
Yeah, he's, yeah.
Oh,
Is he on, is Tom, he's on,
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
the guy who's,
Is,
Oh, wait, sorry.
When is the next DRC meeting? Did you guys just talk about that? I was typing.
I don't know.
Oh, I thought
I
you
don't think
just.
they've scheduled it yet.
Oh, they're usually the first Wednesday of the month. I don't know why they met tonight.
Town meeting, I think.
But there's no town meeting tomorrow night.
I was surprised it was tonight. I
Yeah, me too.
was very
Not sure
surprised.
why.
I spent like
I
10
feel like
minutes
the
looking.
boards and committees are just doing whatever they want.
Well, 'cause
I
there's
spent
AHT
literally
as well.
10 minutes.
I know,
looking at
AHT
Westchester.us
is
for
crazy.
the
tried to go
DRC meeting location and time to confirm I had it in my calendar right. And I texted Jack, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it's not here.
It's, they
So I was
usually don't
looking for
overlap.
tomorrow.
So we could approve minutes.
Okay.
As I think Amy and I are the only one who had changes. Did you guys have any changes?
No.
So,
I rethought about this legacy.
we,
I don't think I said that at all.
No, I know, but I thought maybe a better word than legacy canopy tree would be established canopy tree. Well-established canopy.
And I'm with all of that. I'm just saying as far as the minutes were concerned.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I said that.
Okay, we can delete it.
But it's not that I disagree with the sentiment is all I meant.
I could swear you said that, but I won't. Or,
I mean, I'll go back and look at it. I
You need
just,
those
when you
back?
said that, I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I'll have to give that to the chamber tomorrow.
okay.
on the doubt, strip it down and go procedural.
Go back over that page.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second or third?
All those in favor, I think we just do a voice vote. Aye. So we should wait for this fellow to come from Hillcrest Parkway. Is it so complicated that we need him?
Preliminary look at it.
can just look.
I have a question that was going to
And your stepson.
but obviously Taylor's not here, so I will ask the room, see if anyone happens to know. Do we have a zoning bylaw that's around what Winchester views retaining walls that are underground?
That are under what?
Underground.
But
I can't
That's kind of
imagine.
what Tom was getting at. Is like,
Yeah.
When would you,
Because some municipalities do have a underground retaining wall.
Below grade.
sounds
Oh,
like we
thank
have
you.
a
Below
building
grade.
code around that, but not.
Yeah.
you know,
I didn't see one, but I figured I'd ask the
it
group if they
depends.
knew.
You know, when you talk about measuring, you said, you know, from the base. So if you're going to pour a retaining wall, you put it below the frost line. So you're already 4 feet down. You know? But if you're doing the blocks that we're so familiar with, you bury the first course. So they're 6 inches tall. No, they're not 6. Are they 4 inches tall?
You mean cinder blocks?
No, they're the interlocking
Oh, okay.
blocks that you see all the time, and they do a great job of, you know, allowing water to weed through. But you bury the first course, which is like 6 inches. So, you know, already, at 20 inches, that's like 3 little blocks. It's a little silly. You know, you wouldn't even, I mean, it's enough to plant your roses, kind of.
Sitting wall.
Yeah, it's not much of a
called it.
wall. It's just.
Well, I would suggest we go ahead and go on, do 24 Hillcrest Parkway, and if we have questions, then we can, I don't know, sit here and wait.
yeah.
So why don't we start?
Okay. So this is an application of Tom Woolley and Ryan Ballard for site plan approval under Winchester zoning bylaws, section 9.5.1.7. The petitioners proposed the construction of a retaining wall and decks where the site work will change the grade of more than 500 square feet by more than 6%, as it applies to the premises known as 24 Hillcrest. Yeah.
So
Do we have a
So,
this is a very steep slope behind this house.
super steep?
I mean, you see the pictures, and it just drops off. This is sort of the extension of the fells, basically, across the street from the fells.
yeah, okay.
So what they're trying to do, as we were talking about earlier, is they're trying to, trying to soften the grade.
Well, they're trying to build they're trying to, I mean, this
Yeah,
is
see-
exactly what we were talking about.
So,
They're using the walls to
this-
stabilize
Yeah.
a large extension of the
So
building.
I wonder, are they just trying to
Is it-
sort of continue the foundation wall for the garage?
Like a bunch of walls, I have to be honest. There's a figure,
Yeah,
two
and-
walls, it looks like
I
on the
think that's actually,
Yeah, there's 2 walls. There's one that continues the garage wall, and then one below that with some steps in it.
So there's those 3 gates.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, these 3 walls. 2, 3 walls.
3 walls, that's right, 3.
Yeah, I guess.
So it's just for stabilization.
Yeah.
well, hold
And that's all they're doing. They're not adding anything to the house. Are they doing a deck?
We're doing decks,
Decks.
yes.
They're adding a deck, so they really need this for the
Retaining
deck.
walls
whole
and
red
decks where
area
the
is
site
all
work will change.
Okay, so there's a pathway, there's a
Walkway.
deck.
Another figure that's in color on this one here, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's what I've got here.
Page one of 6, that one there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that up here.
So is everything in like beige, the new deck?
Yes.
It's a big deck.
And the new walls.
Yeah.
And the walkway is made of what?
Deck has 1, 2.
It's not
Wait, they
painted.
abut the felt, what do they abut? They don't abut the felt.
But they don't, they
Well, the
just
fells is
about,
across the street.
but they just about other houses.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there's a paper street to the left called Newton Road,
Okay. Hold on, I'm just looking at the.
which would be impossible to build on that grade.
Okay, so essentially. Yes, I will do this. So if you do the Google, do you guys have Google Earth?
I could.
So my thought when I was looking at this, I think it's an engineering problem. I don't know if it's an us problem, but the property looks like it's above the one behind it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, so, yes.
Yep.
So you're expanding the impervious area and you're stabilizing a bank, and then you're putting a deck that's gonna be equivalent with like, I guess what would probably be like bedroom height.
It's kind of like that.
Do we have,
It's not increasing the impervious area according to the town engineer by less than 500 square feet. Let me rephrase that.
okay.
22.
I just think about, for
Or 24.
Concom, we thought a lot about all of the properties that are down in the fells, because when the fells like melts, it's just like, so it's like this temporary runoff event, so you want to always think about who's below the house, even if it's not an intermittent stream or whatever. So if you're moving the water in a different way, sort of like what are you'll change where it goes. So
Yeah, the
it's
water's
trying
going
to
down to
determine-
Fells Road. Fells Road is
But
below
there's a
them.
house on Fells Road
Yes.
behind them, so now
Yes.
it's going through.
Yeah.
It doesn't obey street signs, no matter how well designed they are. So that's the, I don't, because they're not in a waterway, so Concom, so your former Concom person has that one concern, which is where does the water flow once you build up the,
Goes right down Fells Road and Inglewood Road and et
but it
cetera.
goes to Fells Road
Yes.
through the yard.
Isn't it going to still go the same direction it's going now, the
Yeah.
water?
I don't know, because there are a bunch of retaining walls. That's what I'm saying.
It would
I'm
slow-
not saying I know the answer to it.
Yeah,
I'm
no, but
saying
if you
the
look at the
answer
grade,
would
I'm
be-
just saying, if you look at the grade on either side of the retaining wall, it can only go down that hill. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
But down the hill through the yard behind them, or down the hill to this, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
You mean, are they redirecting the
Like, are we
water?
about to wash out someone's petunias? Or are we kind of
I
send
would,
it down the
well,
street?
I think Tom was saying you build these retaining walls are essentially dams. They slow the water.
It's
and that's-
improving
well, when
the
you
water
level
flow.
back you level yards, you really slow down
Sure.
water rushing. You know,
Okay, I mean, that's, as long as that's,
that's
Well, you've hiked mountain trails, and you know they'll put stones or rocks or a
Yeah,
log
I've-
across the trail so that they don't wash out the trail.
yeah,
The
but
water
then
gets
you've hiked them in the spring, and they wash out the trail.
well, but they divert the water off the trail, so it doesn't, so the trail doesn't become a creek.
Yeah,
What's his
they do,
title?
but there's like a period in the spring where the trail is a creek.
Yeah, true.
That's what I'm saying. That's one thing if you can just not go hiking.
That's the
back there. It's
Appalachians.
another thing if it's your backyard.
That's the Appalachians.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm saying it does have, and a high water year,
Yes.
I think we just want to pay attention.
I don't know. I think this is a big improvement.
From the homeowner's perspective, totally get it. From the neighbor's perspective, I think that's
Well-
those are the only notes I would.
Concom is going to look at this, aren't they?
Oh, there are letters of support.
Yes, there were a number of letters.
Open the other documents.
Is Concom going to look at this?
They're not in the waterway. That's why I'm putting my Concom hat. Right, they're too far. Unless there's an intermittent stream, we're not noticing. But there's not the water's like above it, but it's not
Are
Okay.
they taking any trees down?
long. The reservoir, I
I
guess.
didn't see any
I
trees in
didn't
that
see any in the
picture.
back. I didn't see any either, but like I don't.
Oh, yeah.
There's one back there
How can they have so few trees in this area? Flip.
because it's too steep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, trees grow on the side of a hill.
Can.
Yeah, that is pretty leafy. Where is the tree on that property? That's a good point.
Well, I can do the street view.
Yeah, that's it.
But you can't really see. Let me go over down to Fells and see what's.
Is that tree coming out right there, for instance? What is that saying?
Okay. This is what it looks like on the downhill side on Fells Road, okay?
Yeah,
Look how steep that is.
You
Whoops.
can really tell
that's
from
what I mean.
this.
Is it?
I think that's that.
How is it moving
Oh.
around that?
Really?
Yeah.
So,
This is the,
yeah, 'cause
Yeah, there's the,
you can see,
Turn it around. That's the front of the
that's,
house.
Yeah.
this one.
No,
no. I think you're.
I think it's one that's not on the map.
see, this is the
I
paper
don't
road. It
think
only
that the
goes
trees
this
are
far.
well
This
indicated.
is Boulet's
Yeah,
house
strong.
back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, because
Again, like
on those
the
pictures, I see a lot more trees
I see-
than I see.
I get a headache looking at those things.
Yeah, that's my only.
You can see the tree coverage on the left. I think isn't that on the left side? There's like a bubbly line that goes along. Isn't that? Oh, I don't know what that is. I assume that was tree cover.
It could be bushes, planted.
Something. Yeah.
Do we want to make a motion on this, or we want to wait until the applicant comes? I'm satisfied with this.
If you vote right now, I'll honestly probably vote against it just because I don't know that I feel sure that the retaining wall is.
You could abstain.
I could abstain, but I will vote against it.
I just want to know what trees are being removed, and if they are, I would want a similar type of canopy tree planted in its place. This is just site plan review.
Don't they have to indicate if they're getting rid of trees?
They should have to say if they're removing any trees of.
I thought that was required.
Six caliber.
I'm not sure it is required to indicate what
Everything.
trees.
Every time we review these, they indicate trees that are being.
Special permit maybe, and maybe not site plan review. No, I thought site plan review had the requirement.
I don't see where the trees are.
We just sent a letter from the Permanent Street Tree Committee in this regard.
On their basis of what they've submitted, I don't see anything that. Let's see here. All their photographs.
List of regulations.
That's a lot line.
There's one.
There's a maple.
There's one large bush which would probably.
Isn't Tom Boulay on Concom?
Yeah, he
This
is.
is what we need.
I doubt it is.
This is where we're looking. There's a bush here. See?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the pictures again?
Yeah.
Twin Oak.
They've got a lot of photographs, and there's a bush. That one. See, there's I don't know. Might be a rhododendron. They'll probably lose that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's.
Then there's
These are the
there's
ones
a
that-
tree there. I don't know if these trees are affected or not. I think are those on the property line?
They have several noted on the property line, and it doesn't look like any of them are being removed.
Because site plan review would allow us to limit the number of removed trees 6 inches in caliper or
You
larger.
could include that in your motion.
It doesn't look like any are.
It doesn't look like any, but I'd move to recommend favorable action on
24 Hillcrest Parkway.
24 Hillcrest Parkway because it has no adverse impact on the neighborhood. And I would further request that if any trees of 6-inch caliper or larger are being removed, that appropriate canopy trees replace them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Time out. Can you, one more time? The tree part.
If any
inches. Further request that if any trees.
of 6-inch caliper or larger are
6-inch
to be removed, that appropriate canopy trees are replanted. Appropriate being whatever
In their stead.
in their place. Well, not in their place because in their place implies the exact same location.
No, true.
In the middle of your deck.
Instead.
Or planted, yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so vote. John.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Amy.
Aye.
Carrie.
I'm a no because I don't feel clear on the impact of the change of water flow on the neighbor's property.
I will vote aye. And with that, does the staff have any reports?
Just,
Do we have any reports?
we were supposed to present age-friendly, but that might,
After we go off the air, we can find out what's going on.
that might have to be later. But not that I know of.
I have 2 updates I could give at some
Yep.
point. But the first is you all should have gotten a letter from the Permanent Street Tree Committee regarding special permit review and site plan review. We, sadly, without Carrie there, were able to talk about this, and we were convinced that there were places that could be beefed up in special permit and site plan review. Just to give a little, you can read the letter, it says what we thought, but mostly that we specify canopy trees, because we don't say that anywhere else in the bylaws, but that's largely what we're looking at. And then the second part was for, that was for special permit, for site plan review, that we recommended that we change from 6-inch to 3-inch the caliper of tree that we're looking at, because it takes a long time to go from a 3-inch tree to a 6-inch tree. And we need to have the succession of those trees. So those are the recommendations. that we unanimously voted and sent on to us. Clearly not for considering, well, we're doing what they're here, but for probably this summer when we look at other aspects of this, hopefully this board will take into
I
consideration.
wouldn't count them out. There are towns that have really protective bylaws about trees.
Oh.
I think we actually should mention that to them. I totally slipped my mind. I like who the committee.
I guess what I meant was,
Send
it's
them a
not a
note.
procedural, it's what else do we want to fix in the bylaws, changing words. So the two things that we recommended was taking out the use of the word mature tree for special permit. Just say trees and existing vegetative cover, including the extent to which such removal would cause a net loss of tree canopy. Because we don't say tree canopy anywhere else. And then for site plan review, we just recommended changing from 6 to 3-inch caliper. Modest changes. We thought about going in and saying, well, let's add a whole new section here. And they're like, no, let's just work with the language we have. So there was that recommendation.
I think you should submit that to Taylor to present to them.
It was sent.
No, and I'm saying that you should explicitly say that community scale should get that for
Okay.
consideration.
Yeah, just because if we're missing, I know we've talked in the past about how different towns handle protection of trees that are not on the street, and some of them have any tree that's within 5 feet of the setback, or within 5 feet of the street, or, I mean, they have different ways of sort of reaching them. So if they have a knowledge of that, it saves us some time.
And these were modest recommendations. These are not like saying, let's make it so you can never cut down. These are saying, if you're in special permit review or site plan review,
Yeah.
let's give a little bit more protection where we can.
Yeah,
So-
I think still send it and say what are we
Okay.
missing, what opportunities we're missing.
So I have that one update.
Great.
And the other update, which I'm going to not say much about, but I was just down at the Affordable Housing Trust meeting. There was a brief conversation about an open meeting complaint that was filed regarding some of their meetings. Then they moved into executive session.
They did.
To discuss pending litigation, at which point I came up here.
Okay.
So that's all I have to say for now. And I did record the meeting to that point. So they knew I was recording, and they gave her. So I have a recording of that I could.
Okay.
There's not a lot to go on in that.
Do you know who went into executive session?
So actually, that's interesting. You should ask that because there's a new member on the board. Because Bill McGonigal has replaced Mike Betancourt. I believe it was going to be. The executive session was only going to be 4 members who were going to stay because both Bill and Chris Sr. were going to leave because they said they couldn't be in executive session for 2 sides of the same project, same litigation. So they voted. They both voted no. Voting yes were
Marty Jones.
Marty and Stacy and Michael Queenan and somebody else whose name I don't remember, a gentleman. Apparently there are only 7 members of the board now. Somebody resigned from the board. So there's 7, not 8. So they were going to go into executive session, and they had an extensive conversation before they went into executive session whether they could or could not invite a select board member, Betancourt, into the executive session. I believe that was their intention, to invite him into the executive session, even though he's
As
not
a
part-
non-member.
He's not a party to any of the ongoing litigation at the moment. But there was a fair amount of discussion about that. I can share the recording from that meeting with anybody who wants it of what I have through that point, and then I came up here. So those are the only 2 updates I
We
wanted.
don't know if you joined the executive session. You left us with a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was clear that the 4 members who were going to be in the executive session were going to welcome him in, but they were going to go into executive session, make a determination, vote to invite him in, and then invite him in. But I felt like I needed to be up here, so.
Speaking of executive sessions, do we need to briefly open one, approve minutes, and close it?
I
No.
don't think it's not
No.
posted, so we can't do it.
Right, okay.
No. Are we done? Can we adjourn? I'm sorry.
Jeff is cookie sleepy, and he
No.
wants I will move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, WinCam.
Thank you, WinCam.
Cam.
Sorry, I didn't mean to drag it out any longer than I had to.
I wanted to adjourn. Are we off the air?